what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, and what they think they're doing. I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane. If anybody can put on paper, if anybody can put on paper.
So can anybody put on paper?
I picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Now, did anybody ever tell you that? Was there a national dialogue on this? Did senators and congressmen stand up and denounce this plan? Was there a full-fledged American debate on it? Absolutely not. And there still isn't.
I think they're all insane.
And I think maybe it's time to look at a plan to go in and bomb them.
Why do you care about stupid people? Stupid people, these people have power, and they're carrying out actions.
Bomb them.
Needs to rise to the occasion before we all get killed back here at home.
Yeah. I mean, don't you agree?
I do.
It's insane, it's not just a bit strange, it's just insane. Half the people watching this are going to be saying, oh, what's he saying, what's he saying? That you are being run by people who are insane.
Bomb them, keep bombing them, bomb them again and again.
Certain privileged groups, such as the Al-Nusra Front, the names shift, are called moderate rebels because they fight the Syrian government, and the U.S. wants that. They are not moderate. They beheaded a 12-year-old boy when we were there. We saw it.
So while the American people argue over which bathroom transvestites should use and the border and social issues, the media remains silent, but we're invading the damn world and funding the Muslim Brotherhood, ISIS, and the Al-Nusra Front. Wake up.
It's been said that the State Department is also investigating allegations. I mean, there's a video of this group beheading a 10into boy.
Yeah,
how are those investigations going? Has there been any result?
Into those that incident. Yeah, no.
What does a rebel group in Syria have to do to not receive U.S. funds any longer? What is the line that they must cross? What kind of controversial incident must take place for a group to stop receiving U.S. funds?
All our society is run by insane people.
And so are you saying that the government purposefully allowed 9/11 to happen, made 9/11 happen?
Yes.
And that they were not interested in avoiding war with Iraq?
The case illustrates that. I was the chief CIA asset covering Iraq and Libya at the United Nations from 1995 to 2003. I gave advance warning about 9/11, and there was a peace option on the table with Iraq that the United States wanted to suppress. 30 days after I requested to testify on Capitol Hill, I went to Congress and requested to testify through proper channels. I woke to hear the FBI pounding on my door with an arrest warrant on the Patriot Act.
And so are you saying that the government purposefully allowed 9/11 to happen, made 9/11 happen?
Yes.
The battle is always lost within the castle, like America's falling within, not from the commies coming. Yeah. It's falling apart inside.
In the early days of the Iraq War, media analyst Andrew Tyndall examined 414 news stories aired by ABC, CBS, and NBC about the build-up to the war, finding that 380 of them, a staggering 92%, sourced back to one of 3 U.S. government agencies: the White House, the State Department, and the Pentagon.
The press is the only private enterprise mentioned in the Constitution. It was put in place and given powers to watchdog over our government like a hound dog day and night. Instead, they're just their sounding board.
This goes to show how much the media has been lying from the very beginning about Syria and continues to lie.
This is Canadian journalist Eva K. Bartlett. She exposed everything we were being told about Syria was a complete lie. Now she's doing it in Donetsk regarding the Russian war. Check her out, Eva K. Bartlett. They're going to kill her.
This is not a civil war in Syria. That's probably the first thing we heard, and we heard it over and over again. It is not President Assad against his own people. It is President Assad and the Syrian people all together in unity against outside forces, outside mercenary forces, terror organizations, the names change every day or every other day to try to protect their identity and maybe keep the connection between the country that funded it and that group kind of a little bit more nebulous. But there are groups, mercenary forces, supported by Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the United States, and underneath it, Israel, the state of Israel.
Well, one of the big problems is, and here goes the grenade, Israel. The second you mention the word Israel, the nation Israel, the concept Israel, many in the American press become very defensive. We're not allowed to be highly critical of the state of Israel. And the other thing we're not allowed to do is discuss the notion that Israel and the notion of Israeli interests may in fact be dictating what America is doing. That what we're doing in the Middle East may not be to the benefit of America's national security, but to Israel's national security. But see, we don't want to talk about that because we're not allowed to be highly critical of the state of Israel.
How can you be a citizen of the United States, the country that has generated more violence and militarism in the world over the last 5 or 6 decades, and say, look at those people over there, they are incredibly violent?
Maybe Syria is like any country. Some people support and some people don't
support. No, everybody has support.
So Syria is different.
There is very little people. Maybe 10,000 like that. But the most of people, 22 million, 23 million, person support Bashar al-Assad.
But even the
no, you are lying, because everybody here, population 23 million person from Syria love Bashar al-Assad and support Bashar al-Assad.
But I'm not.
6 entities in the United States give you over 90% of your news, and they just keep lying over and over and over.
It is a big win for the dictator who's killed countless women and children with poisonous gas.
To our investigation, that was used by the opponents, by the rebels, and we have no indication at all that the government, the authority of the Syria government, have used chemical weapons.
As an American citizen, it is shameful for me to admit what my government is doing in the sovereign country of Syria.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know."
The motive, in my opinion, of the U.S. war is to destroy an independent Arab secular state.
Do you think President Bush should be brought up on war crimes and Vice President Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld for the attack on Iraq?
I think things that they authorized probably fall within the area of war crimes.
And I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12 way down the line, but I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know.
He was a true visionary, and what he said is exactly right. What is going on is utter and absolute insanity. I mean, total insanity.